Hi everyone, this is Melissa from Two Peas in a Bucket, and I'm here with this week's Project Life video. Today I want to share how I use just one new thing, and that new thing is this Project Life mini kit, the Dear Lizzie Polka Dot Party Edition. And I use it along with scraps and old stash to freshen things up and to kind of get a new look from some old supplies. Now, one reason that I love the mini kits is because there are only 100 cards, and that means that there is one of each of the 4x6 cards and only 2 of the 3x4s, and that means that you can get one design each front and back. And I like that a lot more than the core kits because I don't like a lot of duplicate cards. I tend to end up splitting up big core kits with friends so that I only have, a couple of each card left anyway. So these are a great way just to get a small amount of cards. And I'm going to use this kit with some old supplies by pulling in colors from the color palette of these cards. And I'll make some embellishments on my own and also pull some older embellishments in that will work with the pinks and the greens and the aquas. So I'll start with my scrap bin, and like Shamel, I just toss all of my scrap papers in one big bin and I don't really sort them by color. I used to, and I found that it was just a pain to go through them all like that, so I just jumble them all together, and it's not really hard to rifle through and find the papers that I need. And so for this set of cards, I have found this stack of papers, and these are all from different lines, different collections. Some are from just this last release, and some are several years old. So there's a good mix here, and it looks like they're all full sheets, but they really are just scrap papers, and I'll pull a few of these out and show you. I've got a little bit of older pink paisley here, some older basic gray, some little strips, and especially if you like to use 4x6 pads for your project life and you end up with these little 2x6 inch strips, I'm going to show you some ideas for using those up. And my inspiration for my DIY embellishments comes from some newer items from crepe paper that are in the shop, and they're these stitched border pieces. They're just layered little die cuts and border strips that are stitched together, and they're in several packages. So that first one was from Close Knit, and then Maggie Holmes has both the stitched borders and also some stitched layered pieces, and I'll be making some layered pieces as well. And then this last set is from the new Bundled Up collection, which is their Christmas line. But these are so easy to make on your own from scraps. And it's a great opportunity to pull out some tools that you may not have used for a while, like border punches. I know I have a huge stash of these myself. Some basic shape punches. I like stars and butterflies and hearts, and also some dies. This is a little set of tiny hearts from Lawn Fawn that I seem to be using on everything these days. So I'm going to get started with these tools and show you how to make your own layered embellishments. I'll start things off with those 2x6 inch strips, and my favorite thing to do with these is to punch little basic shapes out of them. And when I make a batch of embellishments like this, I won't make just one or two. I'll pretty often sit down and make a whole pile at one time based on a color scheme. So I will just punch and punch and punch lots of butterflies, stars, hearts, whatever I think will go with the supplies I'm wanting to match, and just punch until I have a big pile of pieces to work with. So punches are easy to use, and so are dies, and I really like using dies especially because you can cut more dimensional and textured items. Like this felt. I found some felt pieces in my stash that match the colors in these cards, and so I decided to go ahead and cut a bunch of felt hearts using that set from Lawn Fawn. And you can see I just left all of those dies attached together. You can take them apart to cut one at a time, but I like the ease of cutting a whole bunch at once. So I pulled several pieces of felt out and cut a bunch of hearts to go with this set. Now you can absolutely use your scraps to make some Project Life 3x4 cards and 4x6 cards as well. And it's really easy to cut these with your paper trimmer, of course, but I also like the ease of using a die or a punch. So I chose a few papers and cut out a few 3x4 cards as well. Now the die I'm using is not in the shop, but there is one that's very similar by Hero Arts, and it's actually open in the middle so that you could position it exactly over the part of the paper or even over a photo that you wanted to cut and be able to see through it before you run it through your die cut machine. So now that I have a pile of small pieces to use, it's time to work on those border strips. And this is really, really easy. I don't even cut strips off of the full sheets of paper before I start punching. I just go ahead and punch all along the edge until I've gone across the entire piece of paper, And then I will run it through my paper trimmer and just kind of whack off the end until I have a strip that's maybe an inch or so wide, maybe less depending on what I need for my project. And then just start over again with the fresh edge that my paper trimmer left. And here's one last word on border strips. If you don't happen to have any border punches, but you have some decorative edge scissors left from way back when in scrapbooking, you can also just use those to cut right across the page and then trim off an end of the paper just like you would with a border punch. So there is a way to get some use out of some of your older tools as well. So once you're done punching and die cutting your way through your pile of scraps, it's time for the fun part, which is making your layered embellishments. I'm going to start with half a sheet of glue dots, and I carefully peeled off the backing layer so that all of the dots are left on a sheet, and I can just build my embellishments right on top of these glue dots, so they'll be self-adhesive when I'm finished, but still on their own backing sheet. So it's kind of like making your own manufactured set. It's a lot of fun. And I'll start off by putting some of the larger pieces down to make bases for all 6 of the little layered bits that I'm going to assemble. So I'll just choose some circles and stars and some of the bigger pieces to go on the bottom. And once I have all of the bases in place, then I'll go back and add some items on top. And sometimes I just do 2 layers, and sometimes I'll do 3. So with the 2 layers, it's usually one with the base item and then a larger one on top. And if I do a 3-layer embellishment, it's usually just because I've added a button on top of the piece, like I am with this butterfly set. So it only takes just a few minutes to assemble a whole stack of embellishments like this on your own, and I'll give you a closer look at the finished product for these little pieces. Now the border strips are really easy to assemble as well. And all I do is start by kind of chopping each of the strips up into random size segments. And I'll just take scissors and snip them all apart until I have a pile of smaller pieces to work with. And then I start layering them up and adhering them together to make pieces that look just like those layered stitch borders from crepe paper. You can also add in little pieces like the felt hearts or the butterflies on top as extra embellishments. This is another one of those items that I'll sit down and make in big batches and then run them all through the sewing machine. You can just run them end to end without even really having to stop, and then just trim up the threads and you've got a whole pile of custom-made embellishments. So for the sake of time, I'll go ahead and speed things up as I make this layout, and I'll use those embellishments that I just put together on this page, and they won't be the only thing I use, but they will figure pretty prominently into the page design. Now I'm starting out just like I usually do, laying out the photos to try to get a good balance. And I was hoping to be able to use a full-sized decorative card, 4x6 card, up in that top left corner. But I just had too many photos that needed 4x6 slots for that to happen. So I'm going to need to go back and rearrange things to make it all fit. I have several 4x6 pockets now that need some pattern paper behind the smaller photo collages. So I'm just flipping through the 4x6 cards from the kit to see if there are some that I don't mind going ahead and using as basically background paper. This is where I might usually cut a piece of paper from a 4x6 pad to back a photo, but having these cards pre-cut really does make it a lot faster. So I'm just going to select colors to go behind each of these collages, and I'm trying to keep a balance. And even though I didn't get to use a full kind of pattern card like I wanted to, I was able to include the little floral bit on the notes card behind the picture of my puppy at the emergency vet, and also this little memories captured. So I'm able to get some decorative elements from this kit in after all, even though this was a really photo heavy week for me. Now I'll fill in the 3x4 slots, and I really like this week in review card. So I'm going to make sure that I use it, and now I'll just do the same thing that I did with the 4x6 cards. I'm going to go through the 3x4s, and I really again would like to use a full pattern card in one of these slots, and I think I'll have enough room for journaling that that'll be able to happen. And I also need a card that will go behind that 3x3 square photo. And for that, I'm going to pull in one of the cards that I die cut earlier. This is from an older piece of Ellie Studio paper. I think it's from the summer collection, so it's not that old. And I'm already kind of thinking about where I want embellishments to go. Now, as I was flipping through, I saw this making messes is what we do best, and this week it was actually absolutely true. So we were working on all kinds of projects all over the house and things were everywhere. So that is actually a great card to use for this week. So now I just need 2 more journaling cards, and I'm just kind of flipping through to look for a good color balance. I'd like to get a little more blue onto this layout, but I don't think I'm going to have room for another one of those full-size colored cards. But maybe I can find one of these journaling cards that has a little bit of blue in it. And I think this new card will work quite nicely, so I will stick that in on the bottom right, and it kind of balances out with the memories captured card on the left. There are a lot of things that are moving around on this layout right now, so I'm going to go ahead and adhere the photo collages down. And as I do, I'm just putting a little bit of tape in the middle of the photo and not going all the way around the edge. And that way, if I decide that I want to tuck some little items up under them later as I'm adding embellishment, it won't be difficult to get layers underneath the photos too. Alright, so everything's in place, journaling is in, and now I can start looking at embellishments. And there's really only one spot on the page, which is right over this more horizontal collage, that one of those border strips will fit. So I wanted to make sure that I got one of them in there. And again, just going for a little pop of blue. Next, I'll work with these little layered bits that I put together earlier. And since they're still on backing pieces from the glue dots packaging, I'm able just to pull them apart and lay them down on the photos so that I can not stick them down until the very end, and just kind of move things around to see what I like. I also want to add some subtitles as embellishments on this page, and so I have these stickers. These are from the new Snap sticker sets, and I love these because they come with 2 sheets of alpha stickers, 1 small and 1 large, and also 2 sheets of icon stickers. Now these gray stickers are from an older Snap set, but those pink ones are from the newer Snap Her. And there are probably 5 or 6 different of these sets in the 2-piece shop right now. So my subtitles, I'm just going to spell them out across clear rulers, and I realize I left the Y out in silly. Don't worry, I figured that out before I came back and added it in later. And I've been using this trick of spelling out titles on clear plastic rulers for years. It kind of lets me see where I can position things before actually sticking them onto the page. And it makes it really easy to move things around until I find a placement that I like. Now I want to put the Silly Boys caption for my cats right here on this card, but there's a whole lot of blank space and those letters are really small, so I'm going to use some of this washi tape. This is from one of the My Mind's Eye sets to kind of help fill in that extra gap. And I'm just tearing off a couple of random pieces, and I'll layer up 2 pieces before I put the title down, just to give it a little bit more backing and a little more color in that area. Now when you transfer the titles from the clear plastic rulers to the cards, it's really easy. Just go ahead and run your fingers across the top of letter stickers to stick them down, and then gently pull the ruler up and out. And some of the stickers may move around, but it's really easy to get things back in place. Now as I was digging through looking for embellishments that I wanted to use this month, I ran across some older Hello and Hey Girl items from Basic Gray. These I think I've had laying around my scrap room since February and haven't used them yet. So I decided to pull out these little page flags, which are like little post-it notes that you can stick on anywhere on your layout. And there are a ton of them in each pad, so you can use a lot of them without having to worry about running out anytime soon. And they're really thin, so they're great for layering without adding a lot of bulk. So I'm just going to continue this layering my subtitles and a few of these little page tags around. Again, trying to balance things out. When I do something on one side of the layout, I try to do it on the other. So I have this little child labor subtitle for my niece who was helping me with the laundry one day on the left, balancing out with the caption about my dog having to go to the vet on the right. And as I was looking at those embellishments, I also found these flare badges from the Hey Girl, the same kind of collection from Basic Gray. And I don't really care for the really thick foam adhesive on the back of these flare badges, but they're not the flat backs that I can normally just stick a glue dot on. So I'm going to take a page from Vilna's book, and she's always using a hot glue gun. And so I decided just to put a pile of hot glue on the back of this flare badge and stick it right down in the middle. I decided that I liked it in the middle of that photo collage more than I liked my little handmade embellishment. I'm going to go back to these little page flags now, and again, just use these to do a little bit of layering. And I do love these little things, but like I said, the adhesive is only Post-it note stickiness, so sometimes I have to go back and add a glue dot underneath just to make sure that it sticks down all the way. They tend to only be adhered on one end or the other, and so one end can peel up, and it just helps to help it lay a little bit more flat if you stick a glue dot under it. Now I have this photo of me at the salon, and all you can see is my hairstylist in the top of my head as she's doing my hair color. And I thought it would be fun to kind of use one of these flags right on top of the photo to point down to where I am in the picture. So now I'm down to adding just a few little bits, and I really wanted something to fill in the side of this card, but the border strips I made were a little bit too wide to go in there. So I'm pulling out one of these stickers from the My Mind's Eye, the collectible series. I love these little label stickers that they do because they're usually only about $1 a sheet and you get a ton of them. And then also from the Hello collection by Basic Grey, I have a couple of their little shaped paper clips, and these are fun just to add little final touches to your pages. So here's a look at the final layout for this week. And your creative challenge is to go through your scraps and make your own either 3x4 and 4x6 cards with them, or your own little DIY embellishments. I hope you have fun with this task, and thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic week.